Hello everyone, I thought I would do a video about this beautiful machine. Now, we've seen one of these before on my channel. This is a Knitmaster 4500, but this one has got the Ribmaster with it as well. It technically isn't a 4500, it is a Knitmaster Popular. They changed the name late in the production run, so this is one of the very latest ones. You can tell because it's got plastic ends, not metal, and it's got plastic sinkers, not metal. But apart from that, they're all pretty much the same. Now, I thought I had invented a really cool cast-on technique, but actually it turns out what I've done is steal it from somebody else without knowing that I'd stolen it from somebody else. So shout out to people like the Answer Lady and to the Sweater Factory for having already done this before me. However, it is a reliable cast-on technique for one-by-one ribbing, which I think is useful for people to know. Let me show you. Now, first thing to say, cheap acrylic yarn, not good for this machine. Okay, it will catch, it will drop stitches. You can do it, but it's not amazing. Okay, I'm going to be using this, which is King Cole Merino. It's a much higher quality yarn. It's technically a 3-ply, but it knits much more like a 4-ply. Now, really important, guys, every single yarn you knit with this machine will require a slightly different approach, so you must practice first. So actually what I'm doing, I've never used this yarn on this machine. This is my first time doing so, so we're going to see some of the problems that you will encounter when you're a beginner on this machine, and also that will happen regardless of what you do. Okay, so first thing you'll notice I've put the needles one by one. Okay, one by one, and with an end needle on either end being on the main bed. You can see just on the far right hand side of the video, you can see that one there as well. Okay, so that's the thing. I'm going to start with the carriage on the right hand side, and the main bed carriage I'm going to set to a pretty low tension. It's different for everyone. I'm going to try it on with 2 to start with. Okay, the ribber carriage, which, as you know, if you know this machine, goes separately. I'm going to start with on the right hand side of the bed. Okay, so you've got needles set either way. My ribber carriage tension I'll come on to in a minute, because what we're going to do is we're going to cast on 2 rows and knit them without using the ribber. So I'm going to wind my yarn around the left hand. There's a sort of little doobra you can wind the yarn around, like so. Okay, I'm going to wind my yarn around that. Okay, and I'm going to lay it across, and on tension 2, okay, I'm going to knit a row. Now, before I do that, super important thing to find out, that all of these latches need to be pushed down, and you'll need to do that manually probably, depending on how good your needles are. When they were brand new, they should have just fallen down, but they, you know, they're all upwards of 70 years old now, so they probably don't. Okay, now across we go, and we'll knit one row like this. Now you'll notice I'm hand tensioning it. I'm tensioning the yarn with my hand. Okay, this thing has got no tension mast, so you've just got to get the right tension, not too much, not too little. It's quite Goldilocks. Okay, and you want to move the carriage, if at all possible. You don't want to stop in the middle. Okay, you want to move the carriage across in one smooth motion. Now I'm actually going to knit a couple more rows of just knitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down all of these ribber stitches, and I'm just going to get them out of the way. Okay, and this is essentially the equivalent on a more modern knitting machine of doing a circular cast on. One thing that is worth noting, I'll just show you once I've finished this row. So here we go for another row, also at tension 2. Make sure I've got plenty of loose yarn, and then across we go. There we go. Now, one thing is worth saying is that you need to make sure that it's caught under the end sinker there, or it won't work properly. Okay, so last one, and then we will start bringing the ribbing into. Now, in these early rows, okay, especially when you first start doing it, you are going to get the odd drop stitch, the odd stitch that doesn't catch nicely, and so on and so forth. Okay, that just happens. Okay, now next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to knit my first row of actual ribbing. So I'm going to push all of these needles up. I like this cast on because there's no tools required. You can just do it blind. Okay, I'm going to do that, and then with my heel of my hand I'm just going to push them down a bit so that the yarn will definitely catch in the hooks. Okay, now with this with the ribbing, firstly, I'm going to set the ribbing carriage. We need to make sure, not sure if you can see it, hold on. Need to make sure that the knob on the ribbon carriage is played to the top, like that, okay? And that we're going to set our ribbon carriage to whatever tension we are eventually going to do it at. This is not like your brother and your knit and your silver reed machines, okay? You don't knit at a lower tension for ribbing, so I'm going to set that, actually, I'm going to set it at tension 6, okay, for the moment. Now, the other thing is when you lay the yarn across here, like this, what you want to do is you want to have it pulling slightly out to the back of that needle. So it's going, and again, you'll have to learn how to tension it, and you will end up with your drop stitch for the first couple of rows, almost always. Okay, so we'll see, let's see how we end up with this one. Right, okay, now you can see it got caught there. So firstly, here, there's a perfectly simple drop stitch. Now that is because I'm not yet used to the tension of this and I didn't hold the tension right. Quite deliberately so, okay, such that I can show you what you are going to face. Okay, this one, I think we've just caught a bit of a, oh, what on earth has happened here? Okay, this one I don't like very much. I'm just going to get a crochet hook and undo that, and we'll try and re-knit that one. That one has, oh, it's knitted through some of the yarn, but not other bits of the yarn. Okay, this is probably where I'd start again, because I've only just started, but because I'm doing a video, I'm just gonna cope with the mess, okay, which is not very good of me, but there you go. Right, there we are. This one's probably done the same, I'm gonna guess. Look, there we go. So this one needs to go down behind the loop, okay. By the way, the looser your tension cast on, the more likely this is to happen, okay? So I'm going to put that back behind this hook, pull it down, manually knit it through. You will find, first couple of rows, you'll get plenty of these, and then once you get the tension a bit right, it will then ease off a bit. Okay, so now I've got these looking roughly right. I'm going to set my carriage to my main knitting tension. Now I find easiest personally to have the main carriage at one tension lower than the ribbon carriage, which is not what you would do in a normal knitting machine. So let's knit this through and see what happens. Okay, now this is not being helped by the fact, by the way, that normally I wouldn't have a camera in the way so I can do one smooth motion, but it has all knitted through. Okay, now when you do the next row, I'm just going to reset the row counter now because I've done officially one row of ribbing. So I shall reset the row counter to 0 and then count it up to 1. Okay, now when you do this, it's important to see, can you have a look at these and see that these latches are kind of sprung some of the way forwards. Super important you manage to get the yarn behind all these latches or you will drop stitches. Okay, so this is not a massively fast process. It's obviously faster than I'm doing it. Okay, and then we try another row. Okay, and this time it's pretty much gone all right. This far left one, you can see, it hasn't quite pinged up like that, okay? That's important, but apart from that, all the other latches have worked. Bring this across, and we've done our second row of ribbing. And once you get a rhythm going, you can actually do it quite well. Okay. Now, what I will say to you is this. The first time you use this machine, it will not go this smoothly. This machine definitely has a learning curve, okay? And also, every so often, regardless of whether or not you're super experienced and all the rest of it, you will forget to make sure it's behind these latches or something, and it will just go horribly wrong. However, there is nothing that is not fixable. Look, here we go. Here are 2 stitches that have failed to go. And look, it's dead easy just to knit them through by hand, okay? Make sure it all goes up and behind there, okay? It's not particularly impossible, okay? It just means that everything you do on this machine is very slightly slower than, say, a brand new modern machine. But then, if you're buying an antique machine, you're not buying it because you're kind of planning to knit professionally, are you? You're buying it for the pleasure of using it, okay? So, let's see what happens here. Okay, 1 that didn't go. And as I say, as I get more used to tensioning this properly, I will find that I get that less and less. Okay, and especially when I'm not filming it. That always goes better when you're not filming something, doesn't it? Okay, take it back behind. That one went all right. Okay, and there we go. Now you will find, I'll show you once I'm only going to do a couple more rows and then I'll cast it off. But you will find that this cast on looks really nice and neat. Okay, looks absolutely lovely and well worth the effort. Especially as it's actually the least effort way of doing it as well. Okay, the other thing you'll find with these machines is they produce a very vintage looking fabric. Okay, that's because they are vintage. So they're particularly good if you want to produce any vintage knits. In the past I've sold them to costume designers for stage and screen and that sort of things. Now this one actually happens to be for sale. It's not cosmetically the loveliest machine in the world, but it does work, as you can see. And as you can see, the odd mistake notwithstanding, like this one here, it actually goes reasonably fast knitting these things. Okay, you can get, well, let's see, I've got 11 rows of ribbing done, even though I'm blethering to you in between and not going as fast as I could. Okay, 12. And you will find that these machines are amazingly pleasurable to use. They've got a steep learning curve, but they are really pleasurable to use. Okay, last thing, I guess, if you want to just cast off like a tension swatch or something, in other words, if you just want to knit it off the machine, okay, make sure you knit off the ribbing first. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so we'll just move this carriage across and pull all these down, okay? And then I'll show you the fabric and you will see that it is very, very different from, say, the stuff you might get from a brother machine. By the way, don't forget to loosen the tail off at some point. Okay, so if I then knit this across. Now, first things first, it really does bunch up, okay? Really good, tight knit, okay? Secondly, this cast on, okay, apart from the fact I haven't done it particularly well, I reckon I've done that a bit on the tight side, but even so, around a jumper, that would be really nice, okay? And you can really see the vintage style of the ribbing, okay? You wouldn't get that sort of ribbing off of a, Brother 970 or something. Okay, so that is this machine. If you are interested and you would like to buy it, then let me know. It's not very expensive. And I've just got to get the tools together and do one or two little bits of maintenance on it. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And I shall see you guys later. Bye-bye.